All right, good afternoon, ladies.
Afternoon, sir.
All right,
Afternoon.
thank you. Thank you very much. So for today, we're going to continue to look at the migration inside and outside of the Caribbean. Last class, we looked at the different migration patterns. We would have looked at migration, the different places in which people would have migrated within the Caribbean. What do we call that term?
Intra-regional migration.
Very good. Intra-regional migration. Give me two examples of intra-regional migration.
Sir, from Jamaica to Trinidad.
Yes, from Jamaica to Trinidad. What another place?
Or from Trinidad to Barbados.
From Trinidad to Barbados. Which we looked at a very important migratory pattern to Central America. What was that? Go ahead, Jackson.
Sir, was it from countries like Jamaica and Barbados to Panama with the building of the canal and the railway?
Yes, very correct, very correct. So from the British West Indies to places to Panama, first to build the railway and the next time they went was to build the canal. Excellent. So we know for sure that we have been a migratory people. It is also important to note that we have been migrating not only inside the Caribbean, but we have migrated to other places outside the Caribbean. What is the concept of that? What we call the concept of migrating outside of the Caribbean.
Extra-regional migration.
Very good, extra-regional migration. And some of the places that we have migrated to outside of the regions are examples.
France.
France, yes.
UK.
UK.
Canada, sir.
Canada and the United States. Very good. So on our map, historical time frame map, we're almost to the end. We're in this period where we're looking at from 1838 to present the different migratory patterns in the Caribbean, both inside and outside. So last week we would have looked at the examples of the inside. This week we are going to look at migration on the people migrating to outside of the Caribbean and what are the impact on the Caribbean. Now, so our objective for today's class is to examine the impact of Caribbean migrants on their host country. What do we mean by host country?
The country they live in?
The country they live in, who?
The migrants' home country.
The migrants' home country? Not correct. Anyone? You want to try again?
Sir,
The country that the migrant has gone to.
Yes, the country that the migrant has gone to. So wherever they have gone to, that is called the host country. What is the country of origin?
Home country?
One they've come from.
The country that they have, where they have come from. Very well. Also, if you go into the exam and you see metropolitan countries, what is that term making reference to?
Is it the European countries?
European countries, yes, but any country that was actually involved in colonization. And we know for sure that the US was also involved in colonization, quote unquote colonization, because they have had colonies. They don't want to use the word colonies, but we know for sure that they would have colonized places like Hawaii, which they have grafted in and make a state. So they are an imperial power. Places like Puerto Rico, the US Virgin Islands, places in the Pacific. So when we talk about metropolitan countries, we are talking about countries with a history of imperialism. So we are making reference to countries like the US. Also, the term has also evolved to mean developed countries. So any country that is considered to be a developed country is considered to be a metropolitan country. So for example, places like Canada, the Britain, France, Spain, those places. Now, some of the places that we have impacted as Caribbean people is places in the United States, Canada, United Kingdom, France. We have had major impact on those societies. And we are going to look at the impact that we have had on those societies. Now, ladies, when it comes to the past paper questions on this topic, these are 3 past paper questions that we have, well, 3 questions that students should have done in the past. All right, so I'm going to ask someone. Jackson, you can read this for me, please.
Sure, sir.
Go ahead.
Caribbean migrants in the United States and North America have limited impact on those societies. Present arguments for or against this statement, 30 March 2007.
All right. So what do you think that question is asking?
Sir, I think it's asking whether you agree with or disagree with the statement that people from the Caribbean who migrate to North America
Yes.
have impacted those societies that they have migrated to.
Very well. And actually, this is a mistake. It should be United Kingdom. All right. But excellent. Thank you very much. Next person. Can somebody read the next question for me, please?
I'll read it, sir.
Go ahead.
Examine the impact of Rastafarian culture on the metropolitan societies of March 2010.
Go ahead, Richardson. Richardson.
Impact of Rastafarian culture. Aren't you hearing? Are you hearing me?
You were actually breaking up.
Are you hearing me better now?
Yes, much better.
Okay. Examine the impact of Rastafarian culture on the metropolitan societies of North America and Europe, 30 March 2010.
2010. So one of the question is to look at how the Rastafarian culture have impacted these societies. All right. Another one, because once people leave and migrate, they are going to bring the culture with you. And we're going to see how Rastafarian is not seen as Jamaican only, but it is seen as Caribbean. We know the religion started here, but it's really a Caribbean religion that has major impact on countries in Europe and North America. And we are going to look at that in greater detail in January of next year. Next question. Miller, you want to read this for me, please?
The Caribbean needs its diaspora in order to fully understand itself. Examine the extent to which Caribbean diasporic communities influence the formation of Caribbean identity.
Very good. So what this question is asking is whether you agree with the statement that Caribbean needs its diaspora in order to fully understand itself. And in fact, it asks us to examine the extent. So once you see the word examine the extent or to what extent, it is basically asking whether you agree or disagree that the Caribbean diaspora communities influence the formation of Caribbean identity. Is it that persons who are living abroad, do they impact the formation of our Caribbean identity? The truth is that we are more Caribbean outside the Caribbean than inside. Very, very much Caribbean. And you're going to see what I mean by that once we go deep into the lesson, right? So we are more Caribbean outside the Caribbean than inside, because the truth is that when Caribbean people migrate to places like the United Kingdom and migrate to places like Canada and the US, we are so small and we are in these big countries that, listen, you have to group up with each other because we have all of these historical similarities and we have the geographic similarities and we have the geological similarities. We are so similar, so we group together, and because of that, we are going to form a strong Caribbean identity. All right? So by the end of this class, ladies, you should be able to answer these questions. The first thing is that we are going to look at Coral Boyce Davis' book. She's a Trinidadian scholar who would have migrated from Trinidad, and she's at the teaching at a university in the US. Can't remember the name of the university, but she has written this book in 2013 that is called Caribbean Spaces. And I'm going to ask someone to read the first quote from her book.
I'll read, sir.
Go ahead.
Carol Boyce Davis. Caribbean diaspora spaces, in the continental context, refer to those locations in which there are distinctly identified recreations of Caribbean communities following migration. Essential ingredients include a sizable demographic shift in the population to this given location and the development of Caribbean business communities, agencies, and barrel shipping agency, locks and braid hairdressers, botanicas, assorted businesses, restaurants, bakeries, and shops dedicated solely to the preparing or selling of Caribbean food products, fresh produce and ground provisions, roti and patty shops. Entertainment in the form of excursion and block concerts, and other similar activities contributes to the recreation of Caribbean culture in the North. These extend the notion of Caribbean space ontological reference as they attempt to produce a decolonized set of arrangements.
Very good. Thank you very much, Shirley. Now, one of the things that Boyce is mentioning here is that she's saying that wherever Caribbean people migrate to, or the places that Caribbean people have migrated to, what they have done is that they have recreated Caribbean communities in those spaces. And so Boyce Davis, in her very important book, I believe it's a very, one of the best books that I've reviewed, she would have gone into explaining all the different spaces, whether in North America, whether in London, whether in Europe, whether in Africa, whether in Brazil, where Caribbean people have migrated and have impacted those places. Now, for our study for today, what we're going to focus on is really three places, Europe and, well, two places, Europe and North America, how Caribbean people have impacted those societies. And so she mentioned that in North America, there's a strong demographic shift, meaning sizable demographic shift, meaning that there's a lot of Caribbean people living in certain geographic spaces in North America and also the UK. And once Caribbean people migrate to these places, they are going to have travel agencies because they need travel agencies because people need to go back to the Caribbean. Caribbean people is going to start travel agencies. They are going to have barrel and shipping agencies because Caribbean people love to send barrel back to their homeland, especially during the Christmas time. You're going to have hairdressers, salons, restaurants, bakeries, patty shops, all of these different stuff. So what they are doing is that they are recreating Caribbean communities in North America and also Europe. And not only that, but entertainment. Caribbean people love entertainment. So what you're going to have is, if you go to some parts of Brooklyn right now, they're having a black party, a reggae party, reggae is playing, soca is playing, calypso is playing, jab jab from Grenada is playing. It is just full Caribbean. You're going to have their fete, carnivals, all of these different stuff. All right, so that is what Boyce Davis is actually saying here. I'm asking someone now to read this other part from her stuff.
Sir, I can read it.
Go ahead.
But there is more. Caribbean record shops, music producers, and related networks for the production of shows, communications media ranging from newspapers in London, New York, or Miami, blogs and e-journals, newsletters, party flyers and cards, radio and television stations, soccer and cricket clubs and matches, language diversity, including Creole, Patois, Spanglish, and specific Caribbean forms of Spanish, and a public or street-oriented culture manifested in liming and its associated stories and boasts, street banter and calling out, loud talking, conspicuous, sometimes ridiculous, clothing styles, and public male-female flirtation and promises. A certain intergenerational camaraderie and socializing, particularly in relations that have to do with the care of children and the elderly, shopping for foods and their preparation, beach outings, and other transgenerational family celebrations with food, music, and dance also create Caribbean space.
Thank you very much. And Melissa, I'm happy that you were the one. You lived in England. Do you agree with some of the things that Boyce said?
Yes, sir.
Because what you're seeing here is that Caribbean people, once they are going to create their radio station, their television station, they are going to have their newspapers, their cricket clubs, right? In fact, she mentioned that there's a lot of liming where people are on the roadside and on the corner, on the block, just drinking and dancing. Caribbean people has recreated those spaces. In fact, public male-female flirtation and promises, all of the different teeth hissing towards a female, the flirting, because Caribbean people tend to love to flirt. And she also mentioned that the loud talking, sometimes when you're walking in places like Brooklyn, you hear this lady shouting out from to one person way over across the road, telling them to ensure that they remember to buy something. Caribbean people always bringing that culture and that vibes and that energy to these spaces that they have gone to. And one of the major impacts that Caribbean people have on these societies is that we have provided labor. We have provided labor for people. Labor, we have provided laborers in North America and Europe. So for example, we have supplied these countries with nurses, domestic workers, teachers, artisans. When I mean artisan, I mean in very skilled workers such as the plumber, electrician, the carpenters. We have supplied these societies with the needed laborers, especially after the Second World War. Caribbean people would have traveled to Britain to fill the gap left by British people who would have died during the Second World War, or persons who were not able to work as a result of the damage that they would have, physical damage that they would have received to their bodies after the Second World War. And as a result of that, because there was a need for laborers, because many persons would have died as a result of the war in Britain, Caribbean people, while they were still under British rule, went to London, went to Bristol, went to all of these cities in the UK, and they would have worked. They would have worked in the transportation sector. They would have worked as conductors, bus drivers, train drivers. And one of the most important contribution of Caribbean people in the UK is that majority of our females there are actually nurses. They go there to work as nurses. And so we have contributed in terms of the labor to these societies. In addition, ladies, from the 1950s, Caribbean has provided agricultural workers in Canada and the US. We have always been sending workers from here to work on apple fields, or to work on pear farms, or to work on some agricultural field, large agricultural field. We have provided thousands and thousands of people to work in these areas. And so the one thing for sure that we know is that Caribbean people have contributed to these societies when it comes to labor. On that note, ladies, I'm going to share an experience with you from a video of some Caribbean persons who would have left in the 1950s on a ship that is called the Windrush Generation. The Windrush, that was the name of the ship, the Windrush. They have left, they've gone to the UK to work from the 1950s. They had their children in the UK, and from as early as 2015, the British government said that those people need to come back to the Caribbean. They are not welcome there. They actually took away their pension, took away their passports, took away everything. That's the racism that we have endured as a people. And it was very horrible for quite a lot of Caribbean people. And so within the last 5 years, you would have been hearing a lot of people talking about the Windrush Generation. So please listen, ladies. Are you seeing it?
Yes, sir, but we can't hear.
1 second.
take this issue very seriously. The Home Secretary apologised to the House of Commons yesterday for any anxiety caused, and I want to apologise to you today because we are genuinely sorry for any anxiety that has been caused.
Too little, too late. We have essentially a cover-up where the government denies people their basic rights, and were exposed by the press, not by their own self-examination. And I do believe that if you have a rotten building, even if you paint it outside, even in Commonwealth colours, as they've done with Savage Javid, put a new person in, the problem is what's behind them. And those people have not got their rights yet.
All right, so that's the one aspect of, well, give us a background of the Windrush. Now I'm going to give you the experiences of the nurses, Caribbean nurses, in the UK during this time.
Life in the mother country was proving to be far more challenging than they had expected as they strived to build careers. Many white patients just didn't want to be treated by black nurses.
They never prepared you for how the patients would treat you. And, they'd slap your hand away and say, don't touch me, and, your black is going to rub off.
What kind of houses you all lived in? Is it mud hut or tree houses? Is it true that black people's got tail?
This man called me, black bastard. And I just screamed at him and I said, oh, I am so sick to death of you. I said, now tell me something I don't know. Surprise me. Tell me something I don't know.
How could people actually look at you without knowing you and make assumptions about you? That was so horrible.
You just reached a stage you cannot believe that this is the country that you were told is your mother country. You can't believe that this degree of ignorance exists.
I knew I couldn't change being black. And as long as my behavior, my care was impeccable, you couldn't find anything to complain about my care. If you complained about me being black, there's nothing I can change about it. That's who I am, a black woman who happened to be a nurse, caring for you.
Yes. And so, ladies, these are some of the experiences that persons would have faced during the Windrush generation. And even today, we have persons who have complained about the strong racism that they would have faced on the job in the UK. Another impact that Caribbean people actually have, Caribbean peoples have on these territories is that we have formed communities, what we call diasporic communities. So we have communities, for example, in Bristol, London, Birmingham. Those are places in the UK. In North Miami, we have quite a lot of Caribbean settlement there. Little Haiti, Little Havana in the US, in Toronto, all over. We have formed communities, very strong communities, blocks, where hundreds of Caribbean people live on the same block or in the same communities. So we have formed quite a lot of communities. And I'm going to share two of those communities with you, which is Little Havana and Little Haiti.
When the weather drops below 40 degrees, I jump on a quick flight to Miami, Florida. I don't come for the parties, the shopping, or even the beach. I come for the culture. On this adventure, I came to explore Haitian art. Classy boutique hotel? Check. Vagabond motifs? Check. Tasty food and fancy adult drinks? Double check. I am ready for exploration.
Hey, how we doing? This is Chef Creole, and we in Little Haiti. And for you that don't know about authentic Creole style cooking, woo-wee! You're in the right place, baby.
When I came from New York and I looked all around the Little Haiti, there wasn't nothing but just letters in English. So I wanted to change that type of environment by changing the letterings into design, into pictures, into, things that people that don't know how to speak English, they'll recognize. Like, for instance, a restaurant. I wanted to paint some chicken in front of it. So the Botanicas, I wanted to paint the scent. When people that doesn't know how to read English, by seeing the picture, that really, because that's just the way it is in Haiti.
The Little Haiti Cultural Complex is pretty much the backbone of Little Haiti. We breathe life into all of the art and the music and the dancing that happens in the area. It's really great to see how the neighborhood is sort of catching up with all that we've been doing all these years.
The music here in Haiti is definitely diverse. The Haitian culture is a beautiful culture, if you ask me. So here at Midtown, we're just homing in on that and trying to produce the best product as possible.
I don't know if I was one of the first artists to settle in Little Haiti, but a few of my colleagues have moved and bought places here, and some of them are very happy with their spaces here. It's attracting a lot more attention as a neighborhood these days. Art galleries have moved in.
Yeah, Little Haiti c'est un côté qui a vraiment un gros passé historique, un paquet d'histoire qui y a avec, mais il faut faire connaître que il n'est pas seulement lié avec bagages négatifs. Moi, je pense que un peu de monde a supposé venir visiter parce que il y a vraiment un paquet d'artistes, un paquet de hip-hopers, mais qui fait graffiti, breakdance avec MC. So, il y a un côté et pour gagner une destination pour aller visiter, c'est d'abord ici pour venir apprendre un pile de art.
Little Haiti is welcoming.
Little Haiti is the reality of true tradition.
Little Haiti is central.
Little Haiti is culture untapped.
Little Haiti is fun.
Little Haiti is a pearl. It's a pearl of the city of Miami.
Little Haiti is diverse.
And what I want people to know is that Little Haiti is love.
All right, ladies, Little Havana, which is located in Florida.
Little Havana is Miami's vibrant Cuban heart. With many Latin American art galleries and authentic restaurants, is a must-see in Miami.
Cuban coffee is meant to be shared, right? So Miami has this culture of having these little cups, and then we drink coffee at all hours of the day. You may be saying, Grace, why before the empanadas? That's how we do here in Miami. Salud!
Salud! Salud! And of course, you can't miss that you have a picadillo with stuffed empanada at the oldest restaurant in the area. Let's enjoy. Little Havana Walk of Fame is similar to the one in Hollywood, but here the stars are given to the Latin American artists, musicians, writers, and actors. Maximo Gomez Park is also known as Domino's Park, Little Havana landmark, meeting spots for older Cubans. Here they meet to sip on a coffee, talk with their friends, and play some domino. Tradition for over 35 years.
You know, graffiti has become very prominent in Miami. This actually, in the language of graffiti art, this is called a piece.
A piece.
A masterpiece. It's short for masterpiece.
We are at the cigar factory in Little Havana. Here, you not only can buy the cigars, but you can watch the real Cubans making real cigar.
All right. So these are two communities, diasporic communities that were actually formed. The Little Haiti and Little Havana. We have seen that we have formed not only in Miami, but also in Brooklyn. There's strong Caribbean communities in Brooklyn. Festivals. We have also contributed significantly to festivals. We have bring our own style of partying to these places. For example, in the UK, you have Notting Hill Carnival, Leeds Carnival, Bristol Carnival. In Canada, you have Caribana. In the US, you have Miami and Labor Day Parade. In fact, the Labor Day Parade, I believe, with Caribana are two of the largest when it comes to festivals in the metropolitan space. And in fact, Labor Day Parade would have started from as early as the 1920s. And it is very important that these festivals have contributed significantly to the economy of the cities in which they are actually held in. For example, some economic impact, the tourism. Once you know that it's Labor Day Parade, if you live in California or you live anywhere in the US, as furthest from New York, you're going to find yourself in New York for Labor Day Parade. Same thing for England. If once Notting Hill Carnival is keeping, if you live in Ireland, you're going to find yourself in England just to celebrate that carnival. So it's a time in which Caribbean people actually link up and celebrate their culture in these spaces. Not only contribute to tourism of these cities, but it provides foreign exchange for the cities because, for example, Labor Day Parade has over 3 million people parading. Hotel industry, all the hotels are going to be filled up. Transportation, both land and sea, all of these different stuff, ladies. So what we're seeing here is the contribution to the economy of the different cities or countries in which Caribbean people have lived. And also, you know, once we have a party and once we are keeping something, you're going to have food, we're going to set up stalls, we're going to have our bakes, products, and all of these different stuff, and we're selling. So it also contributes to the informal economy. Also, when it comes to carnival, people are going to costume, the design, the masquerade, all of these different stuff. So we have contributed significantly to the economy of these territories. So on that note, I'm going to show you a video from the Labor Day Parade in New York.
Hey everybody! Michelle Brown, and this is Island Vibes NY. Today we're on Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn for the largest celebration of Caribbean culture in the United States, the annual West Indian Day Parade. 2018, let's go! It is the biggest bacchanal in Brooklyn every Labor Day. Nearly 2 million people, young and old, converging on Crown Heights to soak up Caribbean culture and see island pride in full effect. Let's go Haiti! Representing Belize! This is the true essence of Carnival right here. Suriname also in the house, even though the country is really located in South America.
I guess it's comparable to all of the other West Indies. Like, it's super warm, the people are incredibly friendly, the food is fantastic.
The West Indian Day Parade features elaborate, colorful costumes and floats worn by revelers from all over the islands.
Dominic is an awesome island. We are untouched. We're a beautiful nature isle of the Caribbean.
And this party wasn't just at street level. Take a look up and see these revelers entertaining the crowd way above the ground on stilts. The sound of steel and African drums filled the carnival atmosphere as people danced, or should we say, wine and grind to calypso music. Let's not forget the mouth-watering Caribbean food. It is one of the biggest attractions of the parade. From Jamaican jerk chicken and rice and peas to roasted corn, devoured by this Trini Haitian couple.
Amazing.
Amazing, amazing.
Nothing else like it.
To all kinds of tropical fruit.
Mango, kiwi, pineapple, watermelon, papaya.
From the food to the costumes to the music, the West Indian Day Parade in New York is a celebration of culture.
Go Grenada.
And I represent Jamaica, Clarendon.
That will have you longing for a trip to the islands.
We live where you guys make it.
I hope you enjoy this look at the one-of-a-kind West Indian Day Parade here in Brooklyn. Thanks for checking out Island Vibes NY. Until next time, one love.
All right, ladies. So we know for sure that. Go ahead.
Shania said that she's in the waiting room, so if you could admit her, please.
Yes, I just did. Thanks much. So we know for sure, ladies, that the economic impact of the carnivals and the festivals are very important. Another is that Caribbean people and their descendants led the way for social changes in North America. We have been the persons or the group that would have gone into places like the UK and also in Canada and also in the US. And we have highlighted that racism is a no-no because Caribbean people don't keep up with foolishness. We said these things is a no-no. And civil rights, we need civil rights in terms of equality with rights, and we need to finish away with the segregation laws, and we need voting rights, right? So we know for sure that we have influenced social changes in these countries. In fact, Martin Luther King was influenced by Caribbean persons from Caribbean descent who were involved in the Pan-African movement in the US. So for example, places, things like Du Bois, who had Bahamian parents, Malcolm X. Malcolm X actually, his parents was from Grenada. Claude McKay and Marcus Garvey, both born in Jamaica, lived in the US. In fact, Marcus Garvey was making such a big change in the US that they sent him back here, deported him. Louis Farquharson, who one of his parents from Jamaica and one from St. Kitts. All of these are civil rights activists in the United States, major civil rights activists who have influenced social changes in those countries. They have highlighted racism, they have fought against racism, they have advocated for voting rights for Black. In fact, we in the British Caribbean, we are well, the English-speaking Caribbean, we are way ahead of the United States when it comes to social changes. In fact, the enslaved people, our ancestors, were the first to be freed in 1838. The United States, they freed their enslaved people in 1865. So we were way ahead of them. Also, when it comes to voting rights, Blacks in Jamaica, in Barbados, in Trinidad, in Grenada and St. Vincent, in Antigua, they had the rights to vote for their government before Blacks in the US. It was not until late 1960s that Blacks in the United States had the right to vote for their government. So we are way ahead of the United States when it comes to social change, and we have led the way when it comes to social change. So that is another impact of Caribbean people on the US. Another thing, not only social change we have led the impact, but we have also contributed significantly to the US politics. In fact, in Florida, where majority of the population are from Caribbean, it's not majority, but a significant number. Say, for instance, like 40% of the population in Florida are from Caribbean, are from the Caribbean territories. We control who should be the United States president, because Florida has 28 or 29 electoral college vote. I know this is not something that you need to know, but in terms of electoral college vote. So what happened is that in the US, they have an indirect way and a direct way of selecting their president. So once you vote for your president, say for instance, in Florida, you're in Florida, you need 270 electoral votes to become the president of the United States. Florida contributed 28. Most of the United States are what we call states that always vote a particular way. So for example, California, which is the largest state, has over 40 million people. Florida has always supported the Democrats. New York has always supported the Democrats. Texas has always supported the Republican. So we actually know where those votes are going. But in Florida, it is considered a swing state. So whoever Florida actually votes for, whether Florida votes for the Democrats or the Republican, whoever Florida actually votes for will become the president of the United States. So when Barack Obama won the election, Florida would have voted for Democrat. When Trump won the election, Florida would have voted for Trump. We don't know where Florida actually lies today because there's a Caribbean person in the mix. And we want to see where if Florida is going to be stupid to vote for the Republican Party. Now, not only that, but in terms of the Caribbean ladies, we have led major changes in politics in the US. The first Black woman to run for the US Congress and was actually elected to the US Congress was from Barbados, Shirley Chisholm, first Black woman. Colin Powell from Jamaica, first Black Secretary of State for the United States. He also would have created history. And currently in this election, we have Kamala Harris, the first Black female presidential candidate for the Democrat parties. Caribbean people has led the way when it comes to politics in the United States. In fact, not only at the state level that they have, or the federal level that they have created a major shift, but they have also done that within the local state. Also, in the UK, Caribbean people has contributed to the politics there. Bernie Grant from Guyana, Diane Abbott from Jamaica, those are MPs who, well, Grant is not from, he wasn't an MP, he was a trade unionist, but he was very much involved in the politics there in the UK. We have contributed significantly to the politics in those countries. In fact, on Sunday, in Sunday's newspaper, it spoke about all the different Caribbean people, people from Caribbean descent, or people who were born in the Caribbean who are actually running for office in the US. And one of such is my cousin, who is running, where it is, who she left Jamaica, I believe she left Jamaica around 93. I remember when she left Jamaica, I remember when the suitcase went into the car and everything, and she left. And she's making a very big move in Georgia.
Guan Caribbean Life TV viewers, this is your girl Cherry Garden, and we are here inside of Atlanta City Hall. Today we're celebrating the Caribbean American opening ceremonies for the Caribbean American Heritage Month, and we've caught up with none other than Miss Janice Laws. She is the Democratic nominee for the Georgia Insurance Commissioner. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm having fun. I love being around my Caribbean people. Yeah, so it's great to be here with everyone. And it's great coming off of this win in the primary to be the Democratic nominee for Georgia Insurance Commissioner, and to be the next Insurance Commissioner of Georgia is an amazing, amazing opportunity.
That is phenomenal. Part of your speech that you did, you talked about how there's not that many Caribbean people represented in governments here in Atlanta. So tell us a little bit about your heritage.
Yes, well, I am from Jamaica. Woohoo! Yes, I was born in Jamaica, grew up in Jamaica, lived there for the first 17 years of my life. So I went to Charlemont High School. Big up Charlemont High School. Yes, and so I've been here most of my adult life, but Jamaica is my home and is definitely a big part of who I am today.
That is phenomenal. What led you to get into government?
Yes. Well, I've been in the insurance industry for 16 years, and so that is my background. I own my own insurance agency, and so as you guys know, whenever you have any problems with your insurance, you call your insurance agent. So I got tired of not being able to do anything for clients on a real level, on a level that makes a difference. When it comes to rates and claims and things that really, really impact people, I wanted to be able to make that difference. And so I decided this year I'm going to run for Georgia Insurance Commissioner so I can fight at the state level, because that's where all the decisions are made when it comes to talking about your rates. Rates in Georgia are #1 in the country. It's so high, so outrageous, and no one's doing anything about it. So I'm committed to fighting these high car insurance rates in Georgia. So make sure you guys come out and vote on November 6th this year, because we won the primary already, and now we got to take it all the way through the general. Okay, vote Janice Law so we can make this happen. I will be the first woman, the first Black, and the first ever Caribbean to hold a statewide office in the state of Georgia, and also to hold this particular office as insurance commissioner. So we're about to make history. Join me in being part of history in the making. All right, thank you.
This is phenomenal. Just that information alone was exciting. Guys, make sure you take note of that. All right, where can they follow your progress? Any social media, any website?
All right, ladies, so we know for sure that Caribbean people has impacted the UK, the US, when it comes to politics, both at the state level and also at the national level. We have also led to social changes in these places. Our festivals have economic impact on those societies. We have formed communities, very strong and very large communities in these areas. And also we would have contributed significantly to labor. So for sure, one thing we know is that Caribbean immigrants have really done well and has represented the Caribbean well in these places. In fact, somebody mentioned about the Labor Day parade that, well, 3 million people are at the Labor Day parade. That is the entire population of Jamaica. On one day, 3 million people celebrating Caribbean culture. It is the largest celebration of Caribbean culture outside and inside of the Caribbean. All right, ladies, any question?
Sir, I really enjoyed today's class.
All right, who said that they enjoyed? I didn't see the name.
Francis.
Francis, all right.
Same here, sir. Really good class today.
All right, that is good to know. Thank you very much for the reviews. So ladies, so what we're going to do is that we're moving on to a new topic tomorrow, and we will move on because that's what we have to do. We have to see how we can finish this syllabus as quickly as possible. For those of you who have not completed the test, not the quiz, it's not a test, it's a quiz. Just go on and do the quiz because through the quiz, I'll know if you're understanding or you're not understanding and we need to actually reteach. All right, ladies, enjoy the rest of the day.
Same to you, sir.
Bye,
I have a
sir.
question about the quiz.
Same, sir.
What about it?
Same to
Sir, I
you.
think there's some discrepancies with the answers.
Yeah, especially for one of the questions.
I think the one with
Yes,
the one with diaspora, that is the one.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, and
Yes.
also the one that's the historical factor.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
it's
historical
supposed to be
definition one.
enslavement. The correct answer should be enslavement.
Yes, sir.
I will make the
Sir,
correct.
I had sent you a private comment in Google Classroom about it, so I guess you didn't see
Yes,
it.
sir. So did I.
No, I never see it. Don't worry about it, ladies. I made the adjustments.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye, Diva and Krista.
Bye.